Have you ever met someone who seems unbreakable? They don't hesitate, they don't complain, and they never, ever quit, while everyone else is busy making excuses. We often call these people lucky or say they're genetically gifted, but we ignore the price they paid to become that way. Today, you're going to learn how a man achieved this level of strength 400 years ago, and more importantly, how you can do the same. In Japan's Tokugawa era, there lived a man who won over 60 duels, starting when he was just 13 years old. He never lost. His name was Miyamoto Musashi. What's fascinating is that he wasn't the strongest or the fastest swordsman of his time. So what was his secret? He built something that no opponent could break, a mind without hesitation and a body without limits. Before he died, he wrote down his entire method in a book called The Book of Five Rings. It's not just a book, it's a map for transforming yourself into someone others might think is impossible. His philosophy isn't about motivation or positive thinking. It's about systematically eliminating everything that makes you weak. The doctor he saw afterward told him something that changed his life. He said, "Your body is reacting to simple discomfort as if it's a life-threatening danger. Your mind isn't trained. You have to train your nervous system." So Lucas started researching mental strength, and that's when he discovered Musashi, not a philosopher, but a warrior who wrote a practical manual for overcoming the self. The very first line Lucas read from Musashi's work was this: "Have no preferences. Do not depend on any particular weapon." Musashi meant that your strength cannot depend on perfect conditions. If you can only focus when you're well rested, or you can only train with specific equipment, or you can only meditate in complete silence, you are fundamentally weak. An enemy never waits for you to be ready. Musashi trained with every weapon, in every condition: rain, heat, cold, day, and night. Lucas realized his own discipline was completely dependent on his circumstances. If he felt good, he'd go to the gym. If he was tired, he'd skip. So, he decided to eliminate his dependencies with one simple rule: 20 push-ups every single day, no matter where he was or how he felt. The third week, he had to travel for work. The fourth week, he got sick. In the past, these would have been perfect excuses to quit. But now, he applied Musashi's law. The practice must continue. If he couldn't do 20, he'd do 10. If not 10, then 5. The number was less important than the commitment. The only number he wasn't allowed to hit was 0. By day 40, the push-ups had become automatic, but his mind was still a battlefield. He was constantly anxious about money, work, and the fear of failure. That's when he discovered Musashi's core concept, Haishin, which translates to the everyday mind or the still mind. Musashi wrote, "In battle, your mind should be the same as when you are drinking tea. No fear, no excitement, just pure presence." So Lucas began to practice this. Whenever he felt fear or anxiety creeping in, stuck in traffic, in an argument, in a tense meeting, he wouldn't react. He would just observe the physical sensations in his body. At first, it felt unbearable. His heart would pound, his palms would sweat, but he just watched it happen. Slowly, his brain started to adapt. One day, his boss yelled at him for a mistake. Lucas felt the familiar jolt of anxiety rise, but this time, he didn't freeze. He just stood there, present. It was his first real experience of what Musashi called the mind that doesn't move. Neuroscience actually confirms this. By observing your emotions without reacting, you literally rewire your amygdala, the brain's fear center. What once triggered panic now just triggers awareness. But Musashi taught that a calm mind is useless without a capable body. He wrote, "When the body is weak, the mind wavers." Lucas had been consistent with his push-ups, but he'd never truly pushed himself to his limit. Inspired by Musashi, he set a new, terrifying challenge: 100 push-ups a day, every day, for 30 days. Day 1 took him 45 minutes, with long breaks between sets. By day 5, his muscles screamed in protest. He could barely move his arms, but he kept going. By day 15, he was getting stronger, and on day 30, he completed all 100 push-ups in just 12 minutes. But the real change wasn't physical, it was mental. Once you prove to yourself that you can do something you previously believed was impossible, the word hard loses its power. This is what Musashi called the warrior's way. It's not about talent. It's about eliminating the belief that you can't. But Musashi warned that many warriors died right after winning a battle because they relaxed too soon. He taught a concept called Zanshin, the mind that remains. It's about staying present even after the action is over. Lucas realized he lived the opposite of Zanshin. He'd finish a hard task and immediately collapse onto the couch, scrolling his phone, losing all his momentum and the lesson he just learned. So he started practicing Zanshin. After his daily push-ups, instead of just dropping to the floor, he would stay standing for 30 seconds in full awareness. After meetings, he'd pause for a minute before getting distracted. This small change had a massive impact. His presence deepened. Co-workers started saying things like, "You don't get fazed by anything." His wife told him he felt like a different person. On day 105, the real test came. Lucas was called into a meeting and told he was being laid off. His old self would have panicked, his mind spiraling into catastrophe. But the new Lucas was different. He felt the initial shock, acknowledged it, and then his mind became still. No fear, just presence. While his co-workers were panicking and freezing up, Lucas went home, updated his resume, and started contacting his network. Within 23 days, he had 3 job offers, and he chose one that paid 40% more. As a sports psychologist would explain, the difference between people under pressure isn't talent. It's deliberate exposure to discomfort. Resilience is built one repetition at a time. This led him to Musashi's most subtle principle, Haihu, the strategy of the void. Musashi said, "Do not intend to win, intend not to lose." When you try to win, you overextend yourself and create openings for your opponent. But when you simply refuse to lose, you become solid, impenetrable. At his new job, Lucas didn't try to impress everyone. He simply focused on making no mistakes. He showed up on time, delivered on his promises, and avoided office drama. 3 months later, he was promoted. His new boss told him, "You're not the brightest person here, but you are by far the most reliable." Reliability always beats brilliance. Lucas applied this everywhere. Not a perfect diet, just no junk food. Not a perfect workout, just no skipped days. Not being the perfect husband, just never breaking a promise. He focused on having no weaknesses. 6 months in, Lucas had only one fear left, the fear of losing everything he had built. He was afraid of missing a day, of breaking his momentum, of slipping back into his old ways. That's when he learned Musashi's final concept, Sutemi, which means abandoning the self. Nearing his own death, Musashi wrote, "I regret nothing. I fear nothing. I desire nothing." To reach this state, you have to stop tying your identity to your outcomes. You are not your streaks, your accomplishments, or your milestones. You are your practice. So Lucas stopped counting the days. He stopped posting his progress online. He stopped celebrating his wins. The training just continued, without ego, without fear, and without needing validation from anyone. And something strange happened. People started to become uncomfortable around him, not because he was arrogant, but because his quiet discipline exposed their own excuses. When you remove your own fear and hesitation, you become a mirror, showing others what they are avoiding in themselves. 1 year after starting his journey, Lucas wasn't someone trying to be disciplined anymore. He had systematically removed the part of himself that was capable of quitting. Musashi called this state Kinzen Ichi. The sword and Zen are one. You don't train, you are training. You don't meditate, you are meditation. When people asked him, "How do you stay so disciplined?" his answer was simple: "I removed the parts of me that wanted to give up." Miyamoto Musashi died at 62 with no great wealth or titles, but with complete mastery over himself. His final words were, "I regret nothing." The question isn't how Musashi did it. The real question is, why aren't you doing it? You have the same hours in a day, the same human potential. The only difference is the willingness to eliminate weaknesses, dependencies, and excuses. True strength isn't something you add. It's what's revealed when you remove everything that's non-essential. If you've watched this far, ask yourself one question. What is the first weakness you are going to eliminate? Thanks for watching.